to see you. Good to see you. Thank you very much for hosting me today.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Xin Yin Hao, Xin Yin Kuai Le. Very nice to join with all of you today for a nice dim sum celebration of the arrival of the Year of the Snake. And I hope that I know that you'll have the first. You have the first already, the wisdom, and I hope that you'll get the second. In fact, I hope our whole country will get the second.
Yeah. Prosperity.
Obviously, we're coming through a terrible 10 years in Canada, where crime raging out of control, housing costs doubled, food banks overflowing with people, the worst economy in the G7, and drugs everywhere in our streets, 49,000 people dying, a government that's completely lost control. But the good news is that in 2025, Canadians will have a chance to take back control of their lives, to axe taxes, build homes, stop crime, ban drugs, unleash our economy with free enterprise and free trade. And that's the beautiful, bright Canada First future that we share together. So, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you. So, would you like to say a few words here? Mark Dalton is our Member of Parliament in Maple Ridges.
Yeah. No, it's great to be here with you all. And so Pierre Poilievre is the leader of Canada's Common Sense Conservatives. He is brought up as the adopted son of 2 school teachers, and his wife Anna came to call Canada home as a refugee from Venezuela. And back then, Canada made and kept a promise that anyone from anywhere could achieve anything, and that through hard work, Canadians could earn a powerful paycheck to be able to afford gas, food, homes in safe communities. But after 9 years of Trudeau, that promise has been broken. And Pierre's mission is to restore Canada's promise. And his common sense plan is to axe the tax, fix the budget, build the homes, and stop the crime. He wants to bring home the country that we knew and still love. So please join me in welcoming the leader of the Conservative Party and Canada's next Prime Minister, Pierre Poilievre.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, listen, I've already made some opening comments, but why don't we go around the table and invite people to ask questions and turn this into a dialogue.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to say your name and the agency or the news outlet that you're with. Yes.
Debbie Chen from Xingdao. Yeah.
Yes,
Since
Debbie.
everybody's watching the big news about the tariff.
Yes.
Yeah, we still wait the latest outcome. But as your point, if you are a prime minister and you met the Donald Trump, the Trump called you the governor of Canada. So how are you going to respond?
Well, I don't think he would. I think what we need to do is be strong. We need strength. So far, we've had weakness from the Liberal government. Weakness and chaos. We don't have a permanent prime minister right now. The Liberals are busy fighting with each other for power rather than fighting for Canada. And my message to President Trump is that I will put Canada first. We will respond dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff. We will build alliances with grassroots American business and unions who share our desire to trade, to pressure the administration to reverse any potential tariffs. We will reinforce our border. We'll bring in, I've said today, we need to send the military to the border to stop fentanyl. We need to send our troops, surveillance, helicopters, add 2,000 border guards that will go and interrupt the flow of fentanyl. And we need to make our economy more self-reliant. so that we're not so hopelessly dependent on decisions of the United States president. Right now, we have a very weak economy. We've lost $500 billion of investment from Canada to the US. We cannot supply our own energy, even though we have the biggest supply right beneath our feet. We need to reverse the disastrous liberal taxes and anti-development policies that have made us so helpless. So I will pass a bring-it-home tax cut on work, investment, energy, home building, and making stuff in Canada. I'll open up free trade between our provinces so that Canadians can sell to each other rather than just to the Americans. I will rapidly approve LNG plants, pipelines, mines, factories, and other industry that Liberals have been blocking for 9 years. And this will allow us to become more self-reliant, earn bigger and more powerful paychecks so that we don't have to depend on the Americans exclusively for our economic well-being. That's what it means to put Canada first.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. My name is James from BC Bay News.
Yes.
Actually, I have two questions. One is from our audience, and one is from my son. He is a first-year university student, a big fan of yours.
He sounds like a great young man.
Watches your video clips every day.
Really?
Debating with Trudeau.
Yes.
He likes you so much.
Sounds
So
like a great
he
kid.
also has a question for you.
Oh, he does. You should have brought him along.
Okay. So first question is, he said since Trudeau took office, spending on federal government employment has increased dramatically.
50%.
Yeah, outpacing population growth. This has further contributed to the already high government deficit and the tax burden. So his question is, approximately how many public service workers do you plan to remove from the federal government to improve efficiency?
Well, we haven't announced our numbers yet because our platform is still coming, but 17,000 public servants retire every single year. My view is we don't need to replace every single one of them. You know, we've got 50% more public servants than we did a decade ago, and we're getting worse service. On top of that, we've doubled the amount the government spends on outside consultants who are now doing the work the bureaucracy should do. That's a total of $21 billion we're spending on consultants. That's $1,400 for every Canadian family in taxes to fund federal government consultants. I will be slashing the consultants, and I will be reducing the federal bureaucracy through attrition by filling only a fraction of the jobs that become vacant as people retire. And that will allow us to save money. We need to cut bureaucracy, cut consultants, cut corporate welfare, and cut foreign aid so that we can bring down debt, taxes, and inflation.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And secondly, many voters now feel that many of the Conservative Party's policies remain at the slogan level. For example, if the carbon tax is abolished and other tax reduction measures are implemented, leading to a significant decrease in fiscal revenue, how will the annual budget be balanced?
We have to cut wasteful spending. Well, like I said, we need to cut the bureaucracy, cut the consultants, cut corporate welfare, cut foreign aid, and that's how we're going to free up the money to lower debt, taxes, and inflation. And we're also bringing a dollar for dollar law that requires we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. Those are the ways that we're going to bring down deficits and taxes. We also need to unleash growth. Think about it.
Yes.
The economists have calculated that we could increase federal revenues by about $15 billion if we had free trade between our provinces. Why? Because our economy would be bigger. If our businesses were able to sell more products to our own people, the government would collect more revenue from that. If we unleashed our energy sector is the most productive sector in the country of all. That's not an opinion, it's just the dollar value of every hour worked in the energy sector is the highest of any other sector. You allow resource development, you generate billions of dollars of revenue not through higher taxes, but through higher GDP.
Yes.
So unleash productive GDP, cut wasteful bureaucracy, you can bring down taxes and deficits. Thank you.
This is Dongnan from Calgary, 56 below TV. And you didn't go to Calgary, so we come here for you.
Oh, thank you. That was nice of you. It's my hometown.
Yes, it's minus 25 right now.
Minus 25?
Yes.
Okay.
It's super cold. And my question is, so us and the US, we are the allies, but however, they give us 25% of the tariff, and they only give China 10%.
Yes.
So my question is, do you think the tariff policy going to change the allies' relationship with US? And also, is the Poilievre, if you are in power, do you consider China as a threat, as a partner, or as a ally in the future?
So let's start with the trade with the U.S. President Trump's tariffs, which I understand he's now paused for another month, are unjustified and unjustifiable. We need to stand strong for Canada. But we need to make Canada more independent. Right now we sell 75% of our exports to America. We sell twice as much to the Americans as we sell to other provinces. It's incredible, eh? Our provinces sell twice as much to America as they sell to each other. We need to have more domestic trade, Canadian to Canadian. So I'm going to work with the provinces to knock down interprovincial trade barriers. I'm going to approve pipelines and LNG plants so that we can export our natural resources to Asia, to Europe, without going through the United States. We're going to fix our broken ports so that we can get our products out across the Atlantic and Pacific, rather than, again, just giving the Americans our unrefined raw materials for them to profit. And we are going to pass a beautiful patriotic tax cut. It's going to be called the Bring It Home tax cut. And it will bring hundreds of billions of dollars back, because this will become the best place in the world to do business. And that's how we're going to take back control of our lives in Canada. And as for China, we don't seek conflict with any country. We want our sovereignty to be respected. We condemn all foreign interference in our country. And we espouse human rights and freedom for everyone. It will be up to China to decide if it respects those objectives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre. I'm Lawrence from LS Times. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
I also have a question about the tariff. With Justin Trudeau's retaliating against Trump's tariff, and he also encouraging Canadians to buy domestic products more now, and now I'm seeing there's like some worry happening at this current situation. And recently, there's this basketball game where Raptors fans booing the U.S. national anthem. I can see this like tension is rising. How will this impact the relationship between the two nations in the long run?
We have wonderful friendship with the American people that goes back hundreds of years, and America has been our main security ally since 1940, which is now 85 years. We have the longest undefended border, the biggest and most successful trade relationship of any two countries in the history of the world. All of this is threatened by unprovoked, unjustified, and unjustifiable tariffs. I believe that we can find a solution, put these tariffs aside, and in fact deepen our trade rather than tariffing our trade. And by doing that, both countries will be safer, stronger, and richer. And that's what I'll say to President Trump.
Albert with Fairchild TV. Mr. Mark Carney and Christian Freeland mentioned about cutting the carbon tax. You mentioned about cutting excise tax as a first agenda.
Yes.
Now that they agree upon your agenda, what is the next move that you are going to take?
No, they don't agree. They say they still like the carbon tax, but they're going to pause it until after the election, when they're going to bring it back. And they both said they will bring in another carbon tax. They are just going to pause the existing one until after the election is over. Chrystia Freeland has said that she would use the Quebec-style carbon tax, which is very expensive, very complicated, and has no rebate. Mark Carney has said he will bring in a carbon tax on Canadian industry, and he is not going to have a rebate either. So the carbon tax Mark Carney, that's why they call him Carbon Tax Carney. It's right in his name. The one that he's going to bring in will be bigger than the one we had before, and it will not include any rebate. It will be devastating. You can look at my social media, I posted videos of him. He said, for example, he's going to apply it on steel mills. And he said that steel mills don't matter to Canadians because we don't use steel. You should hear him. You should actually hear it. It's a really, don't take my word for it. Go listen to him say it. He's doing this interview. And the gentleman said, well, you're going to put a carbon tax on a steel mill. Won't they pass it on to Canadians in higher prices? And he said, well, Canadians don't use steel. It's like, has he driven a car? Does he have any appliances in his house? Does he know what pipes are made of? This is going to be a disaster. Carbon tax Carney is not as bad as Justin Trudeau. He is worse, far worse. He's been Justin Trudeau's top economic advisor for 4 years. He supported the carbon tax. He called for an increase in the carbon tax, and now he's planning a carbon tax con job, which is to pause the tax just so we can get through the elections. People will say, oh, the gas price went down just 5 weeks before an election. Hooray! And then they go, and the goal is for him to win. And then he comes back in and he says, well, now that I'm in power again, the people can't stop him from bringing the tax in higher than ever before. When he no longer needs your money, when he no longer needs your vote, but still needs your money, Carbon Tax Carney will bring in the most crippling tax of all time. And we will make sure everybody knows that. If you want to axe the tax forever, for everyone, you have to vote for the common sense Conservatives. We have been the only party to oppose the carbon tax from the beginning to the end. We are the only ones that can be trusted. So the next election will be a referendum on the carbon tax, because we know that Carney and Freeland will bring it back, and we know that Conservatives will axe the tax. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre. I'm David. I'm a YouTuber. My question would be, after Trump wins the election, as we all know, there is a tremendous populism rising in America. So I think we see deportation, we see the cancellation of birth citizenship right, and we see a lot of even like fascism. So as an Asian, do you think we should worry about that in Canada for Asian Canadian or immigrant? As there is a rumor in the Asian community that Conservative Party don't like immigrant. What do you want to say to Asian Canadian?
Well, that's just liberal lies. Liberals have been lying to the community for a long time. They want to spread lies to frighten people into voting for them again, so that they can go on legalizing drugs in the community. Look at what Justin Trudeau has done to for the lives of people in Richmond. He's doubled housing costs, most expensive housing costs in the world, right in Vancouver and Vancouver area. They tried to push decriminalized fentanyl into your streets, into your schools. They give in tax dollars to hand out hydromorphone opioids. They push liberal drug consumption sites. When the Chinese community spoke up against them, liberal racists went and made racial slurs against Chinese people, which I condemned. Justin Trudeau refused to condemn it. They brought in catch and release bail, so now you have these violent criminals terrorizing our communities and being released within days. They've raised your taxes. They've driven people to food banks because carbon tax has driven up food prices. So if you had that record, what would you do? You would spread lies about the other party. And that's exactly what they are doing. Common sense conservatives believe in controlled, compassionate immigration. We believe that we should bring in lawful immigrants who follow the rules to get into the country, that we should control the population growth so that we never add people faster than we add houses. And we believe in ending the fraud in the international student and temporary foreign worker programs that have caused so much chaos for so many people. These are policies that are widely supported by the Chinese community. We were in government before. For 10 years I was in government. Did any of these things that the Liberals are talking about, did they happen? No. So we had a majority government in both the House of Commons and the Senate, and we never did any of the things that they're warning about. So these are just Liberal lies trying to hold on to power. But the good news is Canadians of Chinese descent and of all backgrounds are too smart for Liberal lies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, Mr. Poilievre, thank you for giving us the time to raise our questions. My name is Carmen with Xinjiang. And in view of the fentanyl crisis, it is one of the most critical issues facing our nation. In light of the 25% US tariff on Canada, I just feel that Trudeau chose to sidestep, acknowledge the fentanyl problem and instead stir up nationalist sentiment. Do you see the problem, and how are you going to tackle that?
We've lost 49,000 people to fentanyl overdoses under the Liberals. There's been a 200% increase in overdose deaths as a result of the radical drug liberalization that they have pushed. They signed on with the British Columbia NDP to decriminalize crack, heroin, cocaine, fentanyl. They've given out tax-funded hydromorphone. We're only inspecting 1% of the shipping containers that come into the country. The other 99% bring in drugs, guns, and other contraband to the country. We have a catch and release criminal justice system that allows serious fentanyl criminals to be released within days of their most recent arrest on bail. They can do their sentences by house arrest in their living room. And that is why our communities are dying from fentanyl. We conservatives will carry out the biggest crackdown on crime and drugs in Canadian history. We will get rid of catch and release and bring in mandatory prison time for everyone convicted of marketing, trafficking, and exporting fentanyl. We will put in place high-powered scanners that can look into shipping containers that are bringing in the fentanyl ingredients. We will hire 2,000 additional border agents. We will deploy the military. I called for the military to be deployed to our borders to stop the transit of drugs. We will lock up the drug criminals once and for all. We'll also put the money into treatment and recovery so that we can help people who are addicted get off the drugs and go back to their families drug-free. Do you agree with that plan? Better days are coming. Yeah. We have to stop the drugs.
Definitely.
Terrible what has happened with drugs.
It's such a huge pain
to
everyone. I really cannot understand why our country would happen like this. As a Canadian, it is just so shameful facing other countries questioning us, like, why would that happen with Canada?
Yeah, I mean, look, these traffickers of fentanyl are like mass murderers. It only takes about 2 milligrams of fentanyl to kill somebody.
Yes.
So, you know, people say, oh, well, you know, they got 5 or 6 kilograms, no big deal. You could kill hundreds of thousands of people with that. That's how deadly it is. It's extremely lethal. It's 100 times more powerful than heroin.
And you know, there are even having Uber teams delivering fentanyl on a daily basis.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's so professional, very organized.
Did you ever think that would happen in Canada?
In Vancouver, 2.5 grams decriminalized.
Yes, I know.
The BC.
Yes, but the federal government granted that exemption under the Controlled Substances and Drugs Act. And I spoke out against it. I said this was a terrible disaster. We've been fighting it ever since, and this will be over. We're going to lock these guys up, these drug, they're murderers. If you're selling large-scale fentanyl, it's like spraying bullets into a crowded theater. You might not know who you're going to kill, but someone's going to die. So I think it's murder. I think the traffickers of fentanyl are actually murderers, and the criminal justice system should treat them like murderers. Do you agree with that?
Very serious, yes.
Good.
Besides of the criminal justice law system,
it's okay. Let her. She'll go ahead. All right, we'll come back to this. She's very fast. She's very fast.
Yeah, I just follow the fentanyl's question. Yeah, especially the Chinese community is concerned about it. But another angle is the ingredients.
Yes.
Is most of the from China.
Yes.
And also they are trafficking the materials into Canada. So we now find a lot of super labs in BC already. So besides in addition to the justice assistance, is it possible like do another way like negotiating with China to cooperate to solve the problem?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what there is to negotiate. The Chinese government should crack down and shut down these ingredients. Period. I mean, it's you know what the ingredients are. You know where they are. Go in, arrest all the people who are manufacturing these ingredients for export, and shut it down. That's my message to Beijing.
And also follow the money.
Oh, that's another big problem. We have $100 billion of money laundering in Canada, which is equal to about 4% of our national GDP. Vancouver is a real hot spot. Real estate is used as a money washing technique, and money laundering is the lifeblood of the drug trade. You can't, because there's so much money involved in these drugs that you get all this cash and you have to find a way to wash it before you can spend it and put it in a bank account. So the money laundering that happens, and frankly the banks have been complicit, like TD just got fined $4 billion for a huge money laundering operation that they helped facilitate. So it goes right to the top, and our laws are too weak. We need a massive crackdown on money laundering, starting with the bankers. They should go to jail because their actions are fueling drugs and human trafficking. Very real human cost to that. They need to be locked up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Cody. I'm Simon from Xinjiang. And my question is just follow the fentanyl issues and also the trade issues tariff with US. I'm talking about the progressive value.
Progressive values.
Progressive value. You know, in the trade with US, the crude oil is growing last year and also is record high.
Right.
97% of Canada crude oil is sold to US.
Yes.
And then, again, export to Canada.
Yes.
It's so stupid, you know.
Agreed.
But, you know, under the progressive value, is environmental protection for the pipe. So all the growth, all the development project under the environmental protections covered is stopped. You know, you can see what happened in Alberta. And also, the Chinese community also concerned the sexual identity education program in school. You know, also the harm reduction program of fentanyl in BC is all under the umbrella of progressive radical.
That's right.
And I know through those tactics is to label Mr. Poilievre as Trump in Canada. I receive a lot of smear campaign message from the Chinese community. Oh, he is anti-immigrants and racist. You know, one time, Kenny Chiu told me, you just take a picture with some guys, they take a picture with you, and this guy is maybe far-right persons, and then it's become a scandal in the online media. They use all the tactics to label you as the Trump in Canada. And now, I think the situation has come worse because of the tension between US and Canada. They drums up the nationalist sentiment. So that's why you said in the NHL, the game, ice hockey game, they vote to the American, national team.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. So my question is how to tackle the election is coming. And I saw the poll, the support of conservative is a bit going down. Not like before, the lead is about 20%. And now, because of the tension between US and Canada, the situation is changing. So my question is how to tackle this. I support you, and I'm the co-host of program with Kenny Chiu. Kenny Chiu is my friend. Yep. We are the program hosts.
Great guy. Well, there's a lot to tackle there. You know, the radical woke agenda of the Liberal Party is opposite of the values of Chinese Canadians.
Yes.
The giving out taxpayer-funded drugs, the drug dens, the soft on crime, the radical gender ideology pushed on kids, that is all a part of the radical woke NDP Liberal agenda.
Yeah, sure.
And I believe in common sense. Common sense conservative values are the values of Chinese Canadians, the values of faith, family, and freedom, hard work, community, patriotism. These are the values that Chinese Canadians support, and they're the ones that I will restore to our government. So what I would say to the Chinese community is look at my values and look at my comments. Look what I've actually said. I think you'll agree with everything I say. And look at what the NDP Liberals have done. Everything they've done is against your values. They punish your hard work with high taxes. They block your youth from having families with doubling housing costs. They endanger your communities with drugs. They undermine family values with radical teachings in schools. Those are not the values of Canadians of Chinese descent. We need good, solid, conservative, common sense values. And that is what we're going to restore.
Great. So
you agree with that?
I do agree.
Excellent. He agrees.
Common sense is not common today.
We're going to make common sense common.
So, because of time constraints, we are going to give the last question here to Min Hao.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The updated information is just like the Mexico, the U.S. tariff on Canadian goods ports for 30 days. So, do you have any comments about the results?
This is a positive development. I'm very glad to hear that. And we need to continue to have access to the American market. And my message to Americans is let's trade more together. Let's not fight each other. We're friends and neighbors. And hopefully we can settle any differences and keep the border open to trade, closed to crime and drugs, so that both countries are richer, stronger, and safer as neighbors and friends.
So I'm sorry that we're going to have to close now. The Pierre will be available for pictures right afterwards.
Thank you.
But before, just wonder,
yes,
Pierre, if you have any comments that you'd like to make for the audience that, across Canada, Chinese, and also in Richmond.
Yes, well, I'd like to thank Canadians of Chinese descent. Wish everyone a Happy New Year. Xin Yan Hao, Xin Yan Kuai Le. I hope that you and your families have had wonderful Lunar New Year celebrations. I look forward to building the historic friendship between the Chinese community and the Conservative Party based on our shared values of faith, family, and freedom. We're going to bring home Canada's promise, the promise that anyone from anywhere can do anything, that hard work earns a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods where it doesn't matter if your name is Martin or Mohammed, Smith or Singh, Chang or Charles. As long as you're prepared to work hard, follow the law, you can have a great life with a beautiful family on a safe street in a country protected by strong borders under a proud flag that symbolizes the best of us all. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Let's bring it home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Before standing up, just a quick note.